Right. Good evening from London. It's really freezing here in London, and of course, living standards are going down due to the capitalist crisis and the assaults on living standards by the Starmerite regime. And hello from me, Dr. Dermot Hudson, the chairman of the British Group for the Study of the Juche idea and chairman of the Korean Friendship Association. And hello to all friends who are just joining this live stream. As usual, I'm going to be talking, I think, for about 30 minutes, and then I will take your questions, and then we will conclude for the evening. And hello again to the people who are just joining. And I've got a couple of subjects to cover tonight. I think one of the central things we're going to be looking at is the question of DPRK-US relations. There have been two major speeches by respected Marshal Kim Jong Un, the Supreme Leader, People's Korea, and General Secretary of the Workers' Party Korea. He made a speech to the fourth conference of Battalion KPA battalion commanders and political instructors. And also he made a very important speech at the opening ceremony of the National Defence Exhibition in the DPRK, which included an important clarification of the DPRK's stance towards the US now that there has been a change of leadership in the US. So I'll be focusing on those questions tonight. And also last weekend, I'm pleased to say that I was able to attend the KFA International meeting in Madrid in Spain, which was a very important event, very good atmosphere. So I'll be giving a report on that. So let's start. The fourth conference of battalion commanders and political instructors of the Korean People's Army was successfully held in Pyongyang on the 14th and 15th of November in the presence of respected Marshal Kim Jong Un, who made a very significant speech to the conference that was titled On the Prevailing Situation and Task of Battalion Commanders and Political Instructors of the Armed Forces of the Republic, in which he analysed the situation around the Korean Peninsula, including the threats of the US imperialists and their vassal state, the hated ROK puppets, the fascist puppets, and he set forth important tasks to be fulfilled. Significantly, it was the first major speech of respected Marshal Kim Jong Un after the US presidential election on the 5th of November. In his speech to the KPA battalion commanders and political instructors, he points out that the KPA works on the twin fronts of national defence and creation, and is playing a big role in the rejuvenation of the DPRK, which is going ahead at a very fast pace. I'm sure all of you have seen pictures of people moving into new houses, new villages, and new towns being built. As the respected Marshal Kim Jong Un remarked, and I quote, "Because you have played the leading role, our Revolutionary Army has written another chapter of history of pioneering the road of advance and upswing, not only at the borderline posts where friend and foe are levelling their guns directly at each other, but also on all other fronts, decisive of the future destiny of our state and people. End of quotation. Turning to the military situations, excuse me, on and around the Korean Peninsula, Marshal Kim Jong Un said that the KPA should make full preparations for war, stressing that the anti-imperialist class front is the most important. And I think we should note the use of the term anti-imperialist class front. Probably the DPRK is probably the only socialist country to use this kind of terminology. The DPRK's line of building the nuclear deterrent and strengthening the armed forces should remain unchanged and irreversible, as Marshal Kim Jong Un says, and I quote, "Recently, I have clarified on several occasions the geopolitical change because of our nation can or should never be changed, and what we should do to cope with it. We will build up our nation's self-defense forces, the pivot of which is its nuclear capability, limitlessly and endlessly without satisfaction." End of quote. I think this is a very important quote. And I say the key point here is that there should not be any limit on the military capacity of a socialist country. In the past, the Soviet revisionists did deals with the US imperialists, the so-called SALT talks, SALT 1 and SALT 2, SALT being abbreviation for the Strategic Arms Limitation Treaty. And they agreed to limit their weaponry. In other words, they effectively gave the US imperialists a say on what weapons they could have and how many. This was, of course, not only a disaster, but it was total and abject capitulation, just like in the Cuban Missile Crisis, which we discussed earlier. Marshal Kim Jong Un's line is truly revolutionary, anti-imperialist, and anti-revisionist. Thus, the DPRK is not going to change its line of self-defense due to a changing of the guard at the US White House. It doesn't matter who is in power in the US. The nature of US imperialism cannot change. The line of Marshal Kim Jong Un, People's Korea, is a most correct one and a revolutionary one. It shows that the DPRK does not have illusions in US imperialism. The US imperialists are using Ukraine as a shock brigade against Russia and also egging on the Israeli Zionists to commit aggression and genocide in the Middle East. There is a danger of war breaking out on the Korean Peninsula. Respected Marshal Kim Jong Un elucidates on the importance of ideology in war preparations, stressing that, and I quote, "Our Republic's armed forces should overwhelm the enemy above all in the ideological and spiritual aspects. We, who advocate the Juche-orientated theory of ideology, ought to gain definite control of the enemy's vicious anti-communist consciousness of confrontation by dint political and moral superiority before their military and technical edge, and demonstrate the might of our powerful revolutionary army that always emerges victorious by dint of the communist ideology and morality." Again, a very important and significant quote, I think. Marshal Kim Jong Un also added, and I quote, "It is necessary to make all the service personnel clearly know And always remember that the enemy we should fight are the wicked beings steeped in anti-communism and trained in the spirit of destroying communism and the utter confrontation maniacs who whet their swords till they die out of their class nature. A bullet in the rifle of a soldier with an obscure viewpoint on the arch-enemy is as good as a dart. The security of the country and the people should be guaranteed by the staunch class awareness of service personnel ahead of the force of their arms. End of quotation. I think this is a very important teaching. Everyone should bear in mind. All revolutionaries should learn from this teaching of Marshal Kim Jong Un. It shows that the level of political and ideological awareness in the DPRK is at a very high level, higher than in any other socialist country. So, to conclude, the speech of respected Marshal Kim Jong Un to the KPA battalion commanders and political instructors is a very valuable and important one which contains important guidelines for building up the revolutionary armed forces of People's Korea, and is also an important teaching to revolutionaries and anti-imperialists all over the world. In his speech at the opening ceremony of the DPRK National Defence Exhibition 2024 on the 21st of November, respected Marshal Kim Jong Un effectively ended the speculation about whether there will be a summit between the DPRK and US or negotiations because of the fact that Trump will become US president in January 2025. And we recall how Trump held unprecedented summits with the DPRK Supreme Leader Marshal Kim Jong Un in 2018 and 2019, and I personally could not believe what I was seeing when I saw these summits. So Marshal Kim Jong Un had this to say, and I quote: "We already did everything possible in the bilateral negotiations with the United States, and what we were eventually convinced of was not the superpower's will to coexist with us, but its domineering stand and unchangeable aggressive and hostile policy towards the DPRK. American politicians still say, as they are wont to do, that the United States has never been hostile. This odd-sounding rhetoric has long been rejected by the world as anything but plausible. The US imperialists and their vassal forces' wild ambition to obliterate our ideology and system at any cost and destroy our people to the last one has never been changed. Rather, they are recklessly maneuvering to realize this ambition in this century." End of quote. Thus, the DPRK and its supreme leadership have no illusion about US imperialism, no matter what face it wears. We've seen different faces of US imperialism, trendy Obama, Trump, sleepy Joe Biden, the sleepy face of US imperialism. But, the hostile policy towards the DPRK has never changed. Marshal Kim Jong Un's words on this subject show great wisdom. It shows that he's a very astute leader with very sharp analytical qualities. Trump's initiatives a few years ago may have looked very radical and different to other US presidents, but essentially it was a change of form rather than a change of content. We've got to remember this. Trump decided to negotiate directly with the DPRK, whereas previous US rulers and Sleepy Joe did not believe in directly engaging with the DPRK. They wanted backdoor uh, negotiations with the DPRK behind closed doors. However, under Trump, the US hostile policy, which is driven by a desire to overthrow the socialist system in the DPRK and to colonize the DPRK, remained the same. Trump believed that he could trick the DPRK into dismantling its nuclear weapons and its socialist system. But the DPRK saw through this. I think in some ways you can compare Trump's tactics to the old fable of the sun and the wind, which I will just retell for people. I don't know if people know this fable here, but there is the story of the sun and wind have a contest to see if they could get a man to remove a heavy coat or cloak, and the wind tries hard by blowing and blowing, but the sun just shines and shines, and of course the man takes the coat off. And I think Trump imagined that he could do that with the DPRK, but it didn't work. The DPRK was not fooled, thanks to the great leadership of respected Marshal Kim Jong Un and the Juche idea. And not a single nuke or intercontinental ballistic missile was dismantled. The DPRK was not going to follow the path of Libya, Iraq, or the former revisionist Soviet Union. There are those who want to push the DPRK into negotiations with the US, and who want to push the DPRK into so-called peaceful coexistence with the US, and they want the DPRK to go the way of the Soviet Union or China, but they will be very sorely disappointed. This will not happen. This time around, the DPRK will not entertain the idea of negotiations, but will continue to build its defences, including the nuclear deterrent. And also significantly, the DPRK will continue to strengthen anti-imperialist, anti-US class education. And, recently, the Korean Central News Agency carried an article on the Sinchon Museum, the anti-American museum, and they produced a video on it. So the DPRK is on a firm anti-imperialist course. We say bravo, People's Korea, bravo, respected Marshal Kim Jong Un. And now to sort of come to my last topic tonight. The Korean Friendship Association, KFA, held its 24th international meeting on the 23rd of November in Madrid, Spain. And I travelled there to attend it. Went and stayed in a far suburb of Madrid in a inexpensive hotel that was on a motorway. The theme of the meeting was bright future of the DPRK under the leadership of Marshal Kim Jong Un. Participating in the meeting were members of KFA Spain, including regional representatives from Andalusia and the Basque Country, as well as international participants from Germany, Britain, obviously myself, Switzerland, and the USA. Britain, the meeting was presided over by Comrade Alejandro Caldebenos, the president of KFA. The meeting opened with the playing of the Song of National Defence, the hymn of KFA. A message was received from the Korean Association for Cultural Relations with Foreign Countries, which replaces and incorporates the former DPRK Committee for Cultural Relations with Foreign Countries. It wished the meeting every success. Speeches were made by KFA President Alejandro Caldebenos and also by myself, KFA Spain, KFA Basque Country, KFA Madrid, Germany, Switzerland, and the USA. Comrade Alejandro, in his speech, referred to the issue of DPRK Russia relations, stressing that, and I quote, this is what Alejandro said, the first visit of Vladimir Putin in 24 years marks the historical victory of our Marshal in the field of international relations. Russia, a capitalist country that had supported criminal sanctions against the DPRK for many years, that voted against the DPRK's right to possess nuclear weapons, was encircled by US imperialism and completely changed its posture. Vladimir Putin, a dolphin of anti-communism and puppet of Boris Yeltsin, who destroyed the USSR, realized that only an alliance with the politics of Korean socialism embodied in our Supreme Commander, Kim Jong Un, could protect Russia from foreign invasion. There is a famous phrase that is repeated in different versions among all cultures of the world. Do not correct a fool, or he will hate you. Correct a wise man, and he will appreciate you. In this sense, we could say that Vladimir Putin is an intelligent man by changing his mind and signing the recent alliance between the Russian Federation and the DPRK. And that's the end of the quotation from Alejandro's speech. In my speech, I referred to my visit to the DPRK in April, and I said it can be truly said that the DPRK is actually advancing towards the highest stage of socialism, communism. Probably the DPRK will be the first socialist country in the world to reach communism, thanks to the Juche idea and the leadership of respected Marshal Kim Jong Un. And I went on and said, under the leadership of respected Marshal Kim Jong Un, the DPRK has become a socialist nuclear power of Juche, an ICBM power, and a space power with Juche satellites soaring into the sky. People's living standards have improved. Whole new streets, which are in effect the size of small towns such as Changjiang Street, Mirai Scientist Street, Rumyong Street, and Songhua Street, as well as a whole new city at Sanminjom in the far north of the country, have been constructed in the last few years. End of quotation. Martin Loscher of KFA Switzerland said, and I quote, in the last few years, socialist Korea overcame also the economic hardships of the last 2 decades and entered a new economic upsurge. Today, the DPRK is a strong economic socialist superpower. The people's living standards become better day by day thanks to the people first principle. End of quotation. Jeremy from KFA Germany explained that, and I quote, "And the future he will create will be ever more prosperous. The DPRK will have a bright future under the leadership of respected Marshal Kim Jong Un because he has already made the DPRK the best country in the world. The DPRK is the only country in the world without taxation and free housing. Not even other socialist states like the Soviet Union or the GDR had that. People enjoy free healthcare and education." End of quote. Conway Wami, the official delegate of KFA Spain, said, and I quote, "Although this year the tensions with the fascists of the south are rising, we must not forget the class struggle and the struggle against imperialism. The anti-imperialist phrases are very well, but the practice is what makes the difference." And he added, "Remember, friends, that we are the voice of Korea outside its borders. We have been given an opportunity." End of quotation. Christopher Halaleh of KFA USA, who's also, by the way, the international secretary of the American Communist Party and a newly formed party, brought the greetings of KFA USA to the meeting and declared, and I quote, "We honour and salute the people of the DPRK who, under the leadership of respected Marshal Kim Jong Un, remain a beacon and successful model of the world we strive for, as we here in the West are mired in a world of violence, chaos, and decadence. The DPRK's achievement over the past few years, especially in the last 12 months, has been astonishing and world historic. There is no doubt that the DPRK's advances in military technology, construction, agriculture, medicine, and other industries and technical fields continues to revolutionize society and socialist construction." End of quotation. There were written contributions to the meeting from the following countries that were read out: Argentina, Austria, Brazil, Bulgaria, Cambodia, Canada, Chile, Colombia, India, Italy, Singapore, Turkey, and Zimbabwe. A message was received from Bernhard Falk, a German anti-imperialist activist and leader of the Awakening Peace, Sovereignty and Justice Party of Germany. A letter to respected Marshal Kim Jong Un was adopted unanimously by 100% of the participants of the meeting. At the end of the meeting, there were questions and answers and discussion. Subjects covered were cooperation with academic institutions, use of social media, travel to DPRK, as well as topics like fascism, cooperation with political parties, and building KFA UK. Swiss KFA raised the question of the need to refute the lies about DPRK troops being in Ukraine. This myth is very widespread, and I've seen it repeated in all sorts of places. Comrade Alejandro Caldebenos said that the story about DPRK troops being in Ukraine is untrue for all sorts of reasons, such as the fact that the DPRK is faced with potential aggression from the US and South Korea. Therefore, it cannot send troops to fight in another country. The DPRK has always been based on the principle of non-interference and non-intervention in other countries. The pictures that are supposed to show DPRK troops in Russia probably show either Koreans who are Russian citizens. There is a Korean minority in Russia, or the Yachts. It is true that the DPRK agreed to help in the reconstruction of the Donbass republics and signed an agreement which would commit the DPRK to sending construction workers and engineers, but not troops. Comrade Alejandro pointed out that fascism is in fact intimately bound up with imperialism. To be a fascist, you have to be an imperialist. Therefore, logically, the DPRK cannot be fascist. Comrade Alejandro stressed that KFA is a cultural association, not a political party. Christopher from KFA USA said that they would expand KFA USA greatly and make it more active. After the meeting, participants enjoyed lunch in a Chinese buffet restaurant. The following day, a tour of Madrid for the participants, and the meeting was organised by KFA Spain. The KFA International meeting proves beyond all doubt that KFA is alive and kicking. It is going strong, and that it is not a virtual organisation. I think here in the UK, we need to embrace the spirit of the KFA International meeting and learn from the example of KFA Spain. So I will conclude my remarks there and take a few questions. Okay, very good. We got some people on the live stream. Let's go for the questions. I hope I don't miss any of the questions. Yes, you can join the Korean Friendship Association at KFA. It's free of charge. There's also Juche study groups in a number of countries, such as Britain. Yes, hello to comrades from People's Korea. Right, okay, I'll just put a link to KFA membership where you can actually join. There you are. Let's put the link in the Yeah, I agree. There is no way that the US and DPRK can coexist. Peaceful coexistence is absolute nonsense, and it's revisionism. Hmm. We're getting lots of questions. Question from Gregor McIntosh. I'm not sure whether that's really within the remit of this live stream. I've only just heard about the situation in Aleppo a few hours ago. I don't know too much about Syria, but obviously I support the efforts of the Syrian army and the Syrian Ba'ath Party, the Arab Socialist Renaissance Party of Syria, in their just struggle against the agents of imperialism and Islamist extremists who are trying to destroy Syria. Right, I thank Kim Jong Un's nephews from Turkey for their greetings. Is Myanmar socialist? Well, the answer is no. Basically, in the 60s, you had a military government under Ne Win who adopted a lot of socialist slogans and claimed to be building socialism, but in fact they were not, and they were in conflict with the Communist Party of Burma, an anti-revisionist party. And they also, the Ne Win government got caught up in dirty tricks against the DPRK. They were bribed by the US and South Korean puppets to carry out a false flag operation against People's Korea. And Burma, Myanmar, is not socialist, but the official pro-Western opposition under Aung San Suu Kyi is no good. She is also a puppet of imperialism. Brian Holden, never trust an American politician. They are simply interested in domination of the whole world using its enormous military. Right. What is your opinion and view of the KFL? Well, I do not know this KFL. There's only one organisation that defends people's Korea with no ifs or buts, and that is the Korean Friendship Association. We are an international body. We have branches all over the world. There was no need for anyone to set up another organisation. It's as simple as that. You know, as we said earlier, basic membership is free of charge. You know, I think this is a distraction, and that people would be better off joining KFA. Well, the Kim Il-sung Kim Jong-il International Foundation was established for those people who wish to donate money to the DPRK. So I think it plays a very positive role. I do not know why you cannot access the website from Turkey. Maybe it's something the Turkish authorities have done. Well, yeah, I don't want to get sort of sidetracked into a long discussion about the KFL. This, as say, Shane Lawrence Pick was KFA official delegate in Canada a few years ago, but he was removed due to inactivity. So you know, I don't think you can expect too much from this KFL. I mean, the KFA is a real organisation. We've just had a real life international meeting in Madrid that was not only attended by KFA members in Spain, but also international delegates such as myself, such as comrades from Switzerland, Germany, and the US. Many KFA branches are very active, like KFA UK. This month uh, we've held a meeting in Liverpool, which was quite good, attracted new people, attracted cooperation from political parties, and we picketed the BBC. That's our record. And KFA Germany, which is a new KFA branch, they're very active. They held several meetings this year. I did a tour there in May. They've held two pickets, one on, one with the cooperation of a political party. So this is the work of KFA. We're out there. We're holding real life activities in many countries. We also do like exhibitions and cultural stuff. Uh, you know, uh, I doubt if you can expect much from this organisation. To repeat, I think it is a distraction, and it will not have an existence beyond the internet at best, I would say. What is one of your favourite districts? Well, I like Pyongyang quite a lot. Uh, Also, I enjoyed going up to Mount Pakdu and the area around Samijong and Pegabong. I think they're very nice areas. I like Sarawon City. I think that's a very nice city in the DPRK. Uh, you know, quite enjoyed having lunch in the hotel there, and also in 2008 we went for a walk around Sarawon. Uh, Walked along the Folk Street in Sarawon, which they built. Will I be visiting the DPRK soon? Well, I hope to visit it next year. I hope to be able to at least visit for one of the keynote anniversaries. I want to either go to the 80th anniversary of the foundation of the Workers' Party of Korea celebrations, which will be in October, or the 80th anniversary of liberation in August, or ideally both, but money is a factor. So, I might be traveling to the DPRK in summer or autumn, or maybe both. Hopefully, both. Oh, yes, interesting question about that often comes up, and about technology. Yes, I remember one of my guides a few years back, Miss Lee, had a tablet which she was using a lot for translation. Every time I said something she didn't understand, she would ask me to spell it, and she would tap it into the tablet and get the translation for it. Everybody in the DPRK has a mobile phone. I think it's virtually 100% mobile phone uh, ownership in the DPRK, and also the DPRK is fully computerized. Uh, Even on my very first visit to the DPRK years ago, back in 1992, when I went round the school, I saw the children using computers, which surprised me at the time. Yeah, and I've seen computers running DPRK software. What do I think is the most common misconception of the DPRK? Well, there's so many. There are so many. I wouldn't know where to start. You know, I get usually, if I mention the DPRK to someone, I usually get the response, "Oh, but they're all starving." I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions, that, and other stuff like it's a dictatorship, it's totalitarian, etc. All these cliches, and these are just cliches. You know, yes, and yeah, the DPRK does have its own phone brand called Ariane. Ah, what is your opinion on the YouTuber Zoe Discovers? She makes videos about being a tour guide in the DPRK. Well, it's something I can't really comment on. I've seen one or two of her videos, but not that many. Uh, you know, sh- she is, a t- as you say, a tour guide, or was a tour guide, and she hasn't actually, as far as I know she's actually been in the DPRK for about 5 years. So some of her material is starting to become dated. I think she's made it clear several times that she's doesn't support the ideology of the DPRK, and she's non-political. And I understand that she didn't want to cooperate with the Korean Friendship Association because she considered it political. Yeah, I would say some of her videos are useful at debunking myths, but she is basically, uh, you know, is basically trying to promote tourism to the DPRK. I believe she was a guide for choreo tours. Uh, you know, basically, it's her interest is commercial. She's not about giving a deep understanding of the DPRK or defending the DPRK with no ifs or buts. Well, all I can say with the question raised by uh, Juche explained about Western propaganda that shows children on railroads with old torn clothes. Well, I've never seen such a thing in the DPRK. I've never seen children in old torn clothes. They're always quite smartly dressed. They're in school uniforms and young pioneers uniforms. I would assume these documentaries are using fake pictures, possibly from another country, possibly from South Korea. And in fact, years ago, I mean, it's quite old now, it's an old story, but Channel 4, I think this this was a good 24 years ago. They made a documentary called Children of the Secret State, which supposedly was filmed in the DPRK, but a uh, DPRK diplomat told us uh, that, in fact, only one part of the film had been shot in the DPRK. The rest had been shot in South Korea, in China, and in Thailand. And I think some people said that in some of the scenes, these supposed DPRK citizens were actually speaking with South Korean dialects. And there's a lot of use of fake footage of the DPRK, or stuff that's taken out of context, stuff that is very old, say from uh, the 90s. when the DPRK experienced a very serious situation, which they called the arduous march. But I mean, this is in the past, and we're talking about, you know, something that went on happened nearly 30 years ago. You know, just to give an example of subtle anti-DPRK propaganda, there's a book by a certain character here called Glyn Ford. We call him Glyn Fraud, and he produced a picture, a book about the DPRK. But it used images taken out of context. A lot of the pictures were actually quite old, you know, about 20 years old or even older. So, you know, this, although in no way was it as bad as some of these sort of tabloid propaganda against the DPRK, nevertheless, I think it gave a distorted picture of the DPRK. Needless to say, the revisionist Morning Star here actually promoted that book, so shame on the revisionists. Ah, right. Yes, Mark R. Sorry for not coming to your question. Important question. Could you email me on any of my email addresses, and I will try and arrange this, you know, for you. The DPRK, as I said in the presentation, the DPRK have reorganised the Committee for Cultural Relations with foreign countries into the Korean Association for Cultural Exchange with foreign countries. So I will contact them, but please email me either juche007@gmail.com or UK@Korea DPR Korea-DPR.com. Well, as far as I know, there's no foreign workers in the DPRK, at least not software uh, developers. I mean, the only sort of non Koreans working in the DPRK tend to be teachers. Yeah, I agree with Mark R. I mean, it'd be very easy to put children in old clothes and have them act out scenes. I mean, just to give you another example, again, it's old history, and I don't think it got much prominence. You know, I think a Northern Ireland film producer uh, did made an anti-DPRK propaganda documentary, and it was actually shot in Belfast, but used an ethnic Korean uh, girl in it. Yeah, I mean, these things can easily be staged or fake, or as like I said, use of use of footage that is out of context. Yes, a good answer from Juche, explained. And there is, well, there's lots of DPRK films that feature martial arts, but of course, I think Order 027 uh, uh, showcases DPRK martial art quite a lot. Well, I mean, there's a DPRK Taekwondo Association. That's definitely in as part of parts parts. You know, this it's part of the International Taekwondo Federation, which supports the DPRK. Right. So, do we have any other questions? As if there's no other questions, I will conclude the live stream soon. But I want to give people a chance. Yeah, Order 027. It's a really great film. I've watched it about 6 times. I first saw it in the DPRK in the 90s, and I really liked the music from it and the action scenes and South Korean puppets getting beaten up and flying through windows. In fact, I'll just put a link, see if I can get a link to the film. Americans are unable to take care of their own children, yet they want to lecture other on human rights. That's very true. I mean, I didn't read the article properly, but I saw a horrific headline said some American woman baked 2 children to death in an oven. Sounds well, it's horrendous. Uh, uh, you know, unimaginable, and also in the People's Career, luxurious orphanages and boarding schools have been opened, while in the States, children are homeless and addicted to drugs. That's very true. And I've actually visited the orphan school in Pyongyang in 2015, 2016, and it's really amazing. And it is such a big lie that there's malnutrition and the hunger in the DPRK, because we saw plenty of food there, lots of meat, lots of fruit, and being supplied to orphans. Right, Mark, I was in late that you probably spoke about the current claims of DPRK troops being in Eastern Europe, and I presume by Eastern Europe you mean Ukraine. Well, yeah, I did touch on it, and I've covered it in other live streams, and I've written one article which I will put in the links, and I may have. I'm just waiting for the say so on it. But I may also have an article published in a certain media outlet in about one week or so. But I don't want to sort of count chickens before they lay. Just put in the article, but yeah, basically addressing the issue of the allegations about DPRK KPA troops being in Ukraine. It is basically unconfirmed rumours. Neither the DPRK side or Russian side have confirmed it. There is indeed a treaty between Russia and the DPRK for strategic cooperation, but so far there's no evidence that the Russian side has invoked the treaty and formally asked for DPRK assistance. And I think you got to remember that the DPRK is under threat from US imperialism, from the South Korean puppets, also from Japan, and also the US is trying to drag all sorts of other countries into a potential war against the DPRK. The DPRK cannot sort of send large numbers of troops all over the world. And although, yes, in the past, the DPRK have sent armed forces to a number of countries, but they've never sent large numbers. This idea that there's 10,000 or 12,000 troops is uh, absolutely is absolute rubbish. There's no way there would be 10,000 troops. It's simply not true. And as I say, there's no announcement being made by the DPRK, and the evidence offered for the assertion has been proved time and time again to be blatant fakes. Supposedly they showed what was meant to be a KPA identity card, but its authenticity could not be validated. And very curiously, it looked very new. It wasn't creased or damaged in any way. Very odd, supposed to have come from a dead soldier, but it was in mint condition. Now, isn't that unusual? That being mint condition. Yeah, let's just go through. Yeah, Walmy Island is a great film. We watched it at a KFA UK film night. Yes, that's true. Children are uh, transported to school free of charge, including on ferries and special trains. Well, I mean, we've been talking about orphans above. Basically, orphans come under the care of the state and are brought up in orphanages and orphans' schools. Some people do adopt children. There's been several cases where women have adopted many children. Yes, I will think of doing a video uh, about milk distribution in the DPRK. Well, I mean, just yes, to respond to Mark R again, Ukrainian sources. Well, Ukraine is another puppet regime like South Korea. Yeah, there's actually two golf courses in the DPRK, one in the southern part of Pyongyang and one much further out of town. Yes, I may do a video about based on the Rudon Simon article. Well, I think the question about the Chinese Cultural Revolution has already been asked, and I think uh, the DPRK did not adopt that policy in their own country. They had the policy of ideological revolution, and they also warned against left opportunism and dogmatism. The DPRK believed in the class line, in the mass line, and that is the line of struggling against class enemies while uniting the masses. I mean, DPRK are committed to the idea of class struggle under socialism. Yeah, a very good quote from Lenin, Brian. Right, okay. Well, I think we've covered a lot of topics tonight. I think it'll conclude the live stream now. Thank everybody for participating and for their questions. And I'll be back in about 2 or 3 weeks with another live stream. And also, we'll try and make a few videos on other topics in the meantime, particularly the Ruden Simon article on milk distribution. So I wish everybody a very good evening. Goodbye from me. Goodbye.